Hey, Joni. So here, here's your four finals. So here's your long shot, your portrait, or no, your vocational shot. Your still life, your portrait? No. This is your vocational shot, still life, portrait, long shot. Okay, that makes sense. This angle is great for this busy studio, salon. Nice still life. Nice vocational shot as well. I think a deeper depth of field would have been more effective here because your subject is out of focus. So it would have made sense in this case for the narrative. I hope this makes sense to you, but to focus your depth of field on your subject back here and maybe get a little bit more of her face if it was possible, and then let this person be out of focus because she's not our subject. This person here in the front, this person in the back is our subject, but the visual emphasis is all on this person here in the front, and it makes our lead character secondary. I hope that makes sense. Beautiful still life. And then this is the portrait. And again, there's a depth of field situation here. And I understand that the situation that you were shooting in was indoors and you weren't using additional lighting. And so you thought the light was sufficient. However, I'm sorry to say that I don't think it was, because the reason this is problematic, I haven't looked at your settings. I should pause this and look at your settings before I make a fool of myself. Hold on. Yeah, so you're about at f5.6, is that you've got a fairly narrow depth of field at the distance that you're shooting. And so her forearm and shirt and the hair here is all in crispy and focus. And then unfortunately, our subject is starting to become out of fine focus. She's not in that beautiful crisp focus that we have here. And and these are potentially minor details. However, in the delicate work of a photo story, it is the photographer's task to bring as much visual emphasis to the subject as possible, because there's often a lot going on here. And one of the ways that we bring visual emphasis to our subject, regardless of how much visual activity is going on in the scene as well, is through fine focus and then through lights. Now, the light here is even pretty much across all of the subject matter. So, and you chose not to change that. And so your tool of emphasis, of visual emphasis, would have been fine focus, which is kind of not working in two of your four images. And your other two images, it's working beautifully. In your still life here, this is just really a spectacular shot. And then and your long shot, this is also a really, really good shot too. The angle, everything is working really nicely. I think it was a mistake not to take additional lighting, or at least like some reflectors that you could have passively just hung up next to where your subject, your main character, was working, so that it wasn't in her way, but was adding like something extra. Because in both of these cases, the depth of field, your opportunity to use depth of field to bring visual emphasis to your subject was lost, and so lighting would have been your other tool, and you chose not to use it. I think that was a mistake. Now, I understand it's awkward to lug your lighting kit all over the place, but just as a pro, you've got to find ways to do it. And maybe you don't want to take your electronic lights because they're expensive and it's potentially dangerous. However, you can always take stands and reflectors and just clamp the reflectors onto a stand to give you a little bit of extra light, maybe even just like a warm gold hue on your subject, just to control the narrative a little bit more. Where did it go? Sorry, too big. Great extra shot. This is wonderful. I love that shot. Thank you for sharing. And then also, you did a great job getting a lot of shots here. And I see you tried a lot of things with the portrait, trying to get a good portrait of your subject, and that was tough. It looks like a lot of them just weren't really very comfortable. They felt really posed, and you were looking for something a little bit more intelligent, which is the right thing to do in this case. I would have loved to have seen this shot enlarged. But yeah, really nice job trying lots and lots of things. So that would be my feedback, really, for this. Overall, a nice job, a nice first attempt at a photo story. However, the lack here was not using fine focus to bring visual emphasis to your subject, and choosing not to use even light modification tools just to bring visual emphasis to your subject. Now, remember, you can always just put a speed light on your camera. Just put it right on top. Get one of the kinds that has a joint to it and a swivel, so you can turn it, and then you can bounce it off of something else and bring it back to your subject, even a reflector. And the only way to get good at that is to practice, because of course it sounds awkward and hideous and terrible, but practice, practice, practice. That's how you do it. And then, just kind of like faking like you know what you're doing until you do, because people are very generous about that sort of act. But overall, pretty good job here. This is an interesting shot, and I can tell you worked really hard at it. Shoot, rather, an interesting shoot. And then you also have your your metering shots. These look more like product shots. I've been seeing a lot of these lately, like actually really exquisitely beautiful shots of meters where I'm like, wow, you know, you guys should submit these to the companies that make your meters because they're beautiful. Like this, that's a nice shot. Anyways, thank you so much. I really enjoyed looking at this.